What's up, guys? Welcome back. I am here today with the wonderful Mrs. Belinda Allen, Data MVP, and Mr. Mariano Gomez wearing his flow gear today. He's a BizApps MVP since forever. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I am very excited to have you here to see you do a short and sweet version of your talk that you've been traveling around doing. So go ahead, take a second, introduce yourselves to everybody, and then let's go ahead and jump into this thing and see you work your magic.
Hi, I'm Belinda Allen. I am a data platform MVP. I've been a Microsoft MVP. I just got rewarded my 8th time, so woohoo! Super excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I love the whole Power Platform. So I see the more I use one, the more I need to use another. And so cannot get enough of any of them. So I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and super excited to be here.
Awesome.
Well, my name is Mariano Gomez. I'm your Microsoft Dynamics GP MVP, formerly, now a BizApps MVP. I've been an MVP since 2008, so quite a bit of a trajectory in the MVP space.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's been actually a fun ride. Like Belinda, I just got re-awarded a few days back, so I'm enjoying my newly found sanity again.
No more clicking F5.
Yeah, no more F5.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
Awesome.
I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Man, thank you guys so much for joining. So now that everyone knows who you are, why don't you take a second and just tell us, what are you going to be covering today? What can the viewers, expect to see?
Well, one of the things we're going to do a very shortened version. We have a fuller one that covers a lot more cash flow information inside of Power BI. But what we're really here to do is take a business use case of what you would use Power BI for, how you would take that Power BI and connect it to Microsoft Flow and take advantage of using Flow. And then while we're at it, Mariana's going to take and continue that whole process by bringing in some Power Apps. And what else are you going to do with the Power Apps, Mariana?
Well, I'll basically show you how to take it from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. And it would just, basically modernize that Power Apps using Power BI components and basically show you how things, you can actually spruce up your applications that you deliver to your end users.
I love it.
You know, John, a true story, Mariana's family and my family are very close friends. We spent Thanksgiving together last year, and the day after Thanksgiving.
Is that when you made me wash your plates?
Yes, I made it. The day after Thanksgiving, Mariana's wife and my husband went to play tennis, and Mariano and I built Power Apps and Flows.
Yeah, there you go.
That is so cool. I love that. That is amazing. See, I love this community. I have built many communities in my life, like 6 or 7 now. I've never met a community like this one. Like the amount of love that we all have for each other and the connections that we all have, like it's incredible. There's nothing like it.
Yeah,
so I'm excited. This is a special treat to see you guys are actually, the Flow is not the centerpiece. It is just a piece of a 3-chair symphony, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And so for my viewers, this is a new thing. This is pretty cool, you guys, to see the whole platform. And I know Audrey, you guys know Audrey, Artsy Power Rapper. Yeah. She's always complaining to me, John, you need to show more of the whole platform. And she just consistently tells me that. So Audrey, this one is dedicated to you.
It's for you.
That's for you.
All right, guys. I'm gonna step out.
Okay.
Whenever you want, take it away, and I will just jump in with questions whenever I need.
Okay, I am going to switch it over to one of my different machines. You should see my desktop now.
I do.
Okay, great. So a couple of things that I'm going to show you here. I'm just going to show you 2 things that I've built in Power BI Desktop because we're going to be using them in some additional portions of the presentation today. And I do want to point out that John's going to put in the link for the whole presentation. It's a pretty short presentation, but you'll get all the detail of how I built these things out. So this is a cash flow statement. I'm going to be using that, or Mariana will be using that shortly. And I'm going to use this page, particularly this card that has my cash balance. So simple, basic Power BI reports that help me analyze my business better. And I'm going to go ahead and just publish this to my workspace. And we'll go ahead and get it published. And I do want to point out, cash flow is critical for all businesses to monitor. It's funny, a couple years ago, I read the book Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the owner and founder of Nike. And when I was in junior high, the popular Nikes, the white ones with the red swoosh, were so popular, everybody had to have them. And during that time, they were actually struggling for cash. And so it was a pretty difficult time for them. So that's something that, cash is important. You got to pay attention to it. All right. So here is my report. Notice it's called John Flow.
Ooh, wow. I love it. I love
there
it.
you go.
So I'm going to go ahead and just open this report up, and I'm going to take advantage of using notifications in the Power BI service. So on notifications, I can set an alert on something, basically a trigger to monitor it and do something. And these notifications can exist on cards, they can exist on gauges, or a KPI that you've created. So I'm going to take this particular card of my cash balance, and I'm going to pin it to a dashboard, and we'll call this one John Flow. And I'll go ahead and pin that down. And now I'll go to my dashboard area and find the John Flow dashboard. And here's the dashboard. So that's nothing that is a big surprise to anybody who knows Power.
So I think we're seeing the wrong screen, maybe.
Oh, okay. Let me try. Stop sharing, and let's see if I could find.
Was that the right screen, Mariano? Because I saw her clicking around.
I think her screen was frozen.
Yeah,
okay.
No, you know what it was? I see. That was Belinda error. Now you should see my screen.
Okay, now I see it.
So I just created this dashboard. So this is, thank you for that, because now we're at the critical part and I don't want anyone to miss that. All right, so here's my dashboard. And on this particular dashboard, if I click on this visual, I now have the option to manage alerts. Now you do have to have the professional version or have the premium license for Power BI. And this is where you just simply add an alert in. So on my alert, I'm going to come in and I'm going to tell it, the alert will just be called, maybe we'll call it low cash balance. And I could come in and say,
scary.
all right, I know, right? It's pretty scary. So I could say if the condition is below, let's say $1,000 would be a low cash balance. And I could tell it how frequently I want to receive notifications. And that's all you have to do to set the alert. And if you do this, you could say, not only remind me, but send me the email too. Now I'm going to quickly pull over one of my slides from the presentation, because if you do this, there's two ways you could see the notification. One, you get the email if you tell it to email you. So here I told it what my value is and what my threshold is, so you get that alert. And the other thing is, in your Power BI service, you'll have an icon that's a notification there. Now, that's a little bit tough. It would fall right up in here. That sometimes is a little tough to see. And the email to me is great. But what if I want this email to go to other people in the company? What do I do then? I mean, I don't want to have to forward it each and every time. I suppose I could set up a rule in Outlook, but it still might miss it. So what we could do is take advantage of using Microsoft Flow to trigger additional actions.
Whoa,
look at that, John
I know,
Flow.
right?
So that actually, I think that's a new little thing. I never noticed that little click right there.
Yep.
I
So
love
it takes me right in, and so it starts my flow for me. And so honestly, I use Edge for Flow and Powerups almost exclusively. That way I only log in using that account there. So forgive me for, messing around with my Chrome here for a moment.
No
but oh, I guess I'm in Explorer. Okay.
You are
so
an Explorer.
I am in Explorer. Okay. So the flow will actually start happening based on a trigger. And so it's connected to my Power BI, and that's who I'm logged in as. So I don't have to worry about creating a connection or doing anything. It knows, hey, since you're using Azure Active Directory for both Power BI and Microsoft Flow, it knows, hey, this is the user, you're already connected and it's good to go. So now I can simply click on continue to create an additional action. Now I already mentioned I want to email other people about what's going on when I have low cache. So now I can come in and say, all right, when the data driven alert is triggered, what do I want to happen, right? So what I'm going to do is create a new step, and I can find other connectors that are set up. And one of the things I love about Flow is that it uses literally the same connectors as Powerups. So I can create one set of custom connectors if I need to create a custom one, and it's available for both. Yep. This time though, and I love that feature, that's pretty awesome. But this time I'm going to just use Mail. And whoops, I should have used Outlook. Let me use Outlook. So I'm going to come in and
what you had clicked on there, that's actually the Flow send grid. So that sends from a Flow service email account, that previous one.
I did not know that. Interesting.
There you go. We just learned something new, Belinda.
I know, right? And I always say if I could learn something new by 7 a.m., I can go back to bed. All right, so I'm going to, I want to use like the Office 365, and I'm going to tell it to send an email. And that's how easy it is. Honestly, it's super easy. So I would come in and say who I want the email to go to. And if I could learn how to spell my name properly.
That would help. That'd be good.
Right. So I'm just going to send it to me for lack of somebody else. Oh, I didn't put in the email. Let me put in the email. You know, my maiden name is Smith, and I have misspelled my last name.
Apparently, you can't type for heck today either.
Right there. I can.
Oh, you missed a dot.
There you go.
It's torture. Okay, here's the subject line. We'll call it low cache alert. I need to go cut my fingernails off. All right, and now on the body, I can use some dynamic features. I could put in like the alert title. I could put in other values, and that's one of the things I love about it. I'm gonna just put in check the cache, right? And that'll work fine. And then go ahead and click on save, and that is, whoops, I did not give it an alert. Look at enter custom value, alert ID. What? Oh, I didn't save it. Hello. Save and close. And now?
Now you'll actually have to refresh your flow.
Thank you. We'll do it again. This time we'll do it faster. I got excited about adding flow in. Now when I come in, there it is, low cache. So we would just go through the steps again, but you could see how easy it is to create flow.
Easy.
It is. And
yeah.
And now Teams, I think Teams is one of the coolest things Microsoft has done in a while. Adding Teams, you could put a notification in Teams. Yep. So it doesn't have to just be cache you're looking at. You could be looking at reports on projects for your own organization, and you could put alerts to those on that particular report. So let's say you're in a services business and you sell your hours, you sell your time. If someone's utilization rate or their management factor goes below a certain percent or above a certain percent, you could, if it goes above, you could put an award on Teams. If it goes below, you could send an email to their supervisor that says, hey, what the heck is, Bubba doing? So there's a lot of different things you could do. That's pretty
and just amazing. Going back to the cash flow one, if I saw your recent presentation, John, that you did with Daniel. Yeah. And you guys touch on adaptive cards, so you can actually have an adaptive card in Teams that allows you to do some sort of approval of cash transfer if your cash balance goes below the threshold that you sent. So, the possibilities are just supremely open when it comes to leveraging the entire Power Platform. So I'm gonna share my my screen now. I know Belinda just did her presentation, excellent presentation. I'll try to match her up. It's kind of hard task to follow, but let me try and do this.
Hopefully you'll spell better.
Yeah, I'll try and spell better, type better. My nails are short, definitely, so I wouldn't have a problem there. And I don't have any particular color in them. So anyways, if you look at this particular Powerups this maker environment, I have a financial position Powerups, which I'm going to just go ahead and edit here for your amusement. And while this loads, basically, just a little bit of a scenario background. This Powerups in question does present some financial information. It was created way before the Power BI pack that Belinda just put in place was even created. So as you can see here, some of the look and feel of this feels pretty old, feels pretty tired, although it contains valuable information that the executives in the company use. So with the publishing of the Powerups content that the Power BI content pack that Belinda just created, we will try to modernize this by adding a new screen. I actually have a screen template here, so I'm not going to go back from and repeat this. And I'm going to get these out so you guys can see how I did this from scratch.
I think you're being hard on yourself. That old one didn't look that bad.
Yeah,
it wasn't so terrible.
It looked like it was made with dial-up.
Yeah,
well,
it just
looks like it's like dial-up. Nice.
The bottom line is you have sort of all these texts, and when you're trying to follow something, it's very hard to follow when it's all text and the graphics. Although it uses the standard chart controls in Powerups, they look pretty tired. So we want to go ahead and modernize this a little bit. So we've given free range to leverage the content that Belinda just created. So over here I have, again, my cash flow calendar. And I also have, in the sales information, I have an amount and territory dashboard, which actually has this nice map presentation to it. So I can see where physically on the map my territories are located, as opposed to these, just these simple bars that appear here in my previous screen. So if you look at this, then, the map looks more elegant. Certainly looking at cash from on a calendar and when our cash positions are going to vary, that seems a little bit more appealing. So there's a couple of ways to get that exposed to Powerups, but I'll show you the simple way. What you would do is you just click on the pin here, and you would then either publish this to an existing dashboard or publish it to a new dashboard. Once you have it pinned down to the dashboard, then you can expose the tile to Powerups as well. So if I go back here to my workspace, I can see that now my cash flow calendar and both my sales territory dashboards are published. Yep. If I further open this, I can see that I can then go ahead and pin the tile. The process is kind of similar to pinning the dashboard. So I'm not going to even walk through it in that much detail. But what is cool here is if you go back to your Powerups application, obviously I'm not going to delete what works. I'm going to just test it on the second screen. So that's sort of a little bit of troubleshooting, testing type thing. You can then go ahead and go to Insert. And in your control gallery, you will find the Power BI tile. Now, look how simple this is. If I click on Power BI tile, it automatically adds this control to my Powerups design surface. So all I got to do is choose the workspace. In this case, these particular ones are published to my personal workspace. Then I can select the dashboard that I pinned. In this case, I want to do the sales territory one first, right? And then I want to select the particular tile. And once that is in place, then this automatically gets inserted with no extra work onto my Powerups application. Now you can then go ahead and put all sort of refresh schedule on your from Powerups on the Powerups and environment directly. And have these updated periodically if you want. The other thing I'm going to do is here, just to complete this application, so I'm going to go back to controls, scroll down again to Power BI tile, and now I'm going to introduce my second cash flow calendar as part of my Powerups application. And again, I'm just going to go to my workspace, choose my dashboard, and select my tile, and voila. This looks a lot better than my previous presentation, and it dynamically updates based on my refresh schedule. And I think my executives will be even more happier to see something like this as opposed to what we had before. And here you kind of still have the same drill down capabilities that will then take you to Power BI. I mean, the integration is really, really tight. And I love the job that you guys at Microsoft did putting all this stuff together. If you're on mobile, by the way, and you click one of these to expand it, it will launch a Power BI mobile application. So on a mobile environment, the experience is slightly different, of course, than desktop, but you will get the Power BI application launching and showing your specific tile. So
I'm pretty
John,
sure
this
that
is
you have ESP, because like I literally, that was the question I was gonna ask. I'm like, how does this work on mobile? And
yeah.
and I didn't even have to ask it. You're just like, not mobile. So that's perfect. I love
You
Yeah.
that.
know, and the visuals before, the ones that come in Power Apps, they're really nice looking visuals. I was just teasing about them.
Oh no,
But
no,
this
no. They're
actually, this,
fine. This is
yeah,
better.
they are. But this actually provides a consistent look and feel for users
Mhm.
across the board. And
Yep.
it kind of unifies the whole experience to a much greater level.
Totally.
So there really is some advantages to users using this. And Marianne, were you going to show putting a Power App in a Power BI report, or do you just want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the reverse scenario is true as well. You can actually have Power Apps inserted into a Power BI dashboard. And I don't know that my tenant has those capabilities. So if you want to show it, Belinda, that's great. But if you go back to reports here, if you go back to the reports, let me go to my workspace here, click on reports, and let me scroll down to locate my cash flow report. So one thing you can do is you can then use the capabilities in Power BI itself to add a Power Apps control. And that Power Apps control embeds, with some little configuration options, it then allows you to reference directly elements that are on your Power BI, such that if I enter, for example, a value on my cash change by 2000 here in my Power App, it will immediately update my Power BI application with a change in that net debit. So there are ways to actually have your Power BI application be affected, and there is a complete embedding Power Apps option here in Microsoft Docs that you can visit to find the details on how to do that. Unless you want to show something, Belinda, if you have it available.
I don't have it connected. I have it torn apart for the next demo, but
Yeah.
I do have a scenario where I have payables transactions in an accounting system, and the payables transactions get entered in, and there's a review process, and somebody has to review them and approve them. So there's a workflow that's part of the accounting system. So we're using Power BI to review multiple batches at one time, if you so desire. We're putting in a Power App right on the report in Power BI. And in the Power App, I can just select a batch and click approve. And what the approve button does is it first launches Flow, or it first posts or approves the batch, and then it launches Flow. And then Flow goes out and sends an email to the AP department that the batch has been approved, and they could go ahead and post it. So that's another scenario that is a very real and powerful scenario for users to use the entire Power Platform to solve a business need.
Yeah. So if my mind serves me correctly, that was presented and introduced at the previous MVP summit. In When was that? March, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And Chuck did an excellent demo, which I think he has published to the Power BI channel. I do encourage you guys to go to the Power BI channel to look up that demo. There were some other scenarios that he presented that were really, really cool. So, just go to the Power BI channel on YouTube
Awesome.
and look up that link.
Yep,
Which I'm sure John will post right here.
That's right.
Yeah, using Power BI to do the research and the analysis, and then using Power Apps inside of it to create the action, and then using Flow to help you even determine the action that needs to be created if necessary, or perform notification of that action is incredibly powerful. And it's something that every business should take advantage of using. I will bring up, and this is something I'm sure you talk about a lot, John, but the Forrester Research Group, they did a study and they determined, what is it, less than 3 or 4 months people get their return on investment, and it's like 300 to 500%. So it's actually costing you money not to implement these solutions. I mean, it's literally costing you money not to do it.
And speaking of cash flow, right? So the other thing that I wanted to notate here is we've shown you just a simple example of combining the power of the Power Platform. Like this, there are hundreds of scenarios that you can implement in your business, but know that when you consider a solution, don't look at a single element of the Power Platform to solve it. Try to consider the entire Power Platform as a whole. I think that's the true value that both Microsoft Flow, Powerups, and Power BI all bring to the table. I think you would short-side yourself by simply looking at just one aspect of the Power Platform. That to me is the most important message that we're trying to convey here.
Yep,
that's right.
I think each of these tools is absolutely amazing on their own, but together they are definitely stronger, and you're able to do way more. You guys have pretty much said everything. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. For you guys at home, you know what to do. Go ahead and click like, click subscribe so that you don't miss any more videos. Do you guys have a slide with your information so people can follow you?
You know what? I don't know if we do or not. We've got, let's see.
That should be in the slide that you presented.
Yeah, that would be just like us to do a slide and not tell anybody who we are. No, I think we were so fast and furious on stage, I don't think we actually did it. So we'll make sure you have it, John.
So what I'm going to do is, I'll go ahead and put all that info in the description so that you can go ahead and follow them on Twitter and check out blogs and videos and all of that goodness. Thank you guys so much for joining us and talking with us and teaching us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, John, for having us over.
And thank you guys for watching.
You guys know what to do. Much love from me. See you in the next video.